Hi all, breaking news, Carlsen has beaten the Chinese #1 FIDE rated player, Wang Hu. There's two actually Chinese players called Wang, and I think you could remember them both by the expression Hey Yu. So one is Wang Hey and one is Hang Yu, and Wang Yu is higher rated. Anyway, so the Petrov defense was played by Wang Yu, and by the way, I did a very witty quotation. I hope chess games can't use it. Carlsen wangles his way to victory. Now, wangle is actually a transitive verb for wrangle, so I think, you know, and that means sort of outmaneuver. So I thought that was quite witty, but maybe not. Okay, so knight f6, the Petrov after d4. This is an interesting idea. Instead of the usual knight takes c5, I think this is less common than knight takes e5. Black seems to get a seemingly aggressive position in this line. So the white knight takes on e5, but now knight d7, and Carlsen takes on d7, and black's like pieces are getting developed. Like this one coming to d6, it seems quite. For me, it doesn't look as though white's getting much of an advantage here. I mean, I don't know much of the theory about this anyway. So, but Carlsen plays Queen h5 here, and I'm actually going to turn off this engine. That's annoying. So, in this position, knight f6 was played. Interestingly, I mean, I was checking. I don't know if this is absurd, but castles seems a reasonable idea. Sacking this d pawn because if queen takes d5, sorry, bishop c6. And then the queen's getting kicked about, and black seems to have some initiative here after like this knight f4, or even better in this line, bishop f4, and black's getting seemingly dangerous initiative, like here, like slicing up white's king side now with advantage. So this is all. You know, quite dangerous. So after queen h5, actually knight f6 was played, which I guess must be theory. But it seems in this game, black, you know, he ends up. Well, after rook e1 check, his king's just on f8. It doesn't look particularly brilliant. And now this kind of crude, seemingly crude attack. I mean, I know white's hasn't got the knight on f3. So these squares are being invited, you know, to be attacked by a queen, but it's a bit crude for a 27-30, surely, to play like this. After h3 to play queen h4. I know it's a bit Marshall Gambit-ish. The king on f8 doesn't, I suppose, is not too bad. The rook's going to come quickly, and white's first row is a bit lagging in development at the moment. Okay, so queen f3 was played, and now bishop h2, forcing actually king f1, because if king king f1. If king h1, okay, yes, I think there's knight takes f2 with my limited calculation abilities. King takes, knight takes d3, and the queen is now hitting the rook. So if queen takes, we'll see the queen takes rook. I think if g3, there's knight takes rook here. So basically, white has to play king f1 in this position. So Carlsen plays king f1. Fine. Move 13. Curious, I have no idea if this is Fury. Now black, you know, he's got if he moves his knight back, this looks kind of dodgy, really. This position, like this bishop, is it going to be trapped? You know, maybe g3, there's bishop h3, but let's just engine check this position. Could the knight have just gone back? Okay, just knight c3. Yes, no g3s. That's a bit too dangerous. Now, okay, so white's just got an edge there. He didn't retreat the knight, actually. Black actually lashed out with knight takes f2. So Carlsen has to weather a storm now, but he's going to be a piece up. After bishop g3, okay, he's getting skewered. There's only one move with the queen. Queen f3, just bishop e1. Rook's lost. Queen e2, there's rook e8. So he has to move his queen to d2, in fact, by a process of elimination. Now there comes a check, which actually forcibly wins the d pawn after winning the exchange. So this looks like quite an unpleasant storm, but it's limited. You know, especially with this black rook not developed. You know, there's only a few pieces of black out. So after Queen E5, Carlsen actually risks his back row being pinned up. He takes on F4 and doesn't mind this knight against rook pin on his first row. He plays actually bishop F4 just to win this C7 pawn. So he's definitely, like, his material up. It's can he consolidate this position? He's only a pawn down now, but this nasty pin. The thing is, he can play C3 to protect the knight to get the rook out. So actually, after A6, as well as that idea, the problem with that idea is, you know, potentially there's rook D1s, and where's this bishop going on the diagonal? It's got no squares. This square's covered. This square's covered. So if C3, there's rook D1. So what Carlsen does now is very nice. Which actually, I wonder actually if this should have been allowed, this bishop A5, because if the bishop's come into D2, then C3 becomes possible, and rook D1 is not harassing the bishop. But I wonder if black could have done a prophylaxis with B6. Let's just check this position. After bishop takes C7, let's assume B6 to try and maintain this pin. There's check here, and now bishop B4 anyway. So the bishop's forcibly coming if Carlsen wants back to D2 or C3. In fact, the rook's getting evicted. Say rook D1. Okay, bishop D2. So next, you know, let's say. Let's give a token move here. Bishop E2 to just fully evict. No need for C3. Just bishop E2. Eviction. Just winning material, actually. Forcing rook takes D2. So that's cool, the way this bishop coming back to D2 is actually threatening to just win the exchange if rook D1. So black cannot maintain this pin on this knight. So after this bishop takes C7, it seems black's in real trouble already, just after like 20 moves. So I guess it might not be theory what black played. Bishop D2, so there's the threat now of bishop E2, as we've previously seen. So rook C8. But here there's a little difference now. Bishop E2, maybe rook D2 and rook C2 is more effective for black. So picking up C2 and maybe B2. So C3 was played here, but again now it's renewed the threat of bishop E2 without allowing rook takes C2. So now black plays D4. Now Carlsen just reacts C4. So again he's renewing the threat of bishop E2. After G6, now bishop E2 is finally played, winning the exchange. In fact, I mean, what black's rook is actually trapped here. He can't escape from bishop E2. There's no escape now. So Carlsen's winning back the exchange just to be a piece up, basically. Okay, so he's just won the exchange. So bishop takes A4, little deflection. Rook A4, rook takes B1, but Carlsen can just win the exchange. But first throws in a check. Okay. I'm not sure the importance of that nuance, rather than just playing bishop takes. Maybe it's of no significance. Right, throws in the check, then bishop takes D1. So he's a whole piece up here against the 27-30. Plays knight D2, now finally developing his queenside rook on the first rank. Now B3, holding up that C4 pawn. So black plays F5. And Carlsen now gets his king in for the ending, like Capablanca would, centralising the king. King F2, the king plays an active role. Creates a major concession now, D3. I mean, lovely diagonal for the bishop now after that D3 move. Beautiful on those dark squares. Bishop C3. Now knight F3. Lovely places for the knight to enter black's position, supported as well. After F4, that's a committal move, and the pawn ends up being a target there. So the game ends quite suddenly now, because knight G5 is forking king and H7. So black decides to defend H7. I know, maybe he was in time trouble or something. Knight E6 is now forking F4 and D8. So white's not even going to be a pawn down for the piece. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's only going to be a pawn down for the piece, rather, once he wins this pawn back. So knight takes F4, and where's this bishop going without losing d3? So actually black, he resigned here. A curious game. For those that know the Petrov theory, could you let me know where did black go wrong theoretically? Was this all theory? I have no idea really, but it seems to me, I mean, not knowing the theory, that after queen h5 maybe black can just castle here with compensation after queen takes d5. It just seems this is a bit odd, isn't it, with the king on f8. So anyway, so I mean, it's inviting this kind of crude attack, but it doesn't seem that effectual, this attack. Just losing a bit of material, as long as white can untangle from the first rank issues, because black has got a lead in development at the moment, but he's only got like 2 pieces to attack with. I mean, with this rook still on h8. So this bishop f4 was a real key move actually. Maybe. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe even other moves are okay as well. I mean, what's wrong with knight c3, rook e1, b3, for example? I mean, actually, are we saying bishop f4 might not even be needed? Bishop f4 is given as the strongest move. Let's imagine knight c3 for a moment. Okay. So actually rook e1 is not even given, because I think just knight takes d5 or b3. So anyway, it just seems clearly better for white here, this position. Bishop f4, so this is just one of the ways of playing it. Just bring the bishop back to d2 to have the massive threat of bishop e2 just winning the exchange. So black tried to delay that, but he's losing that exchange. So he's just a piece for like a couple of pawns down, and then he ends up being just a piece for a pawn down, because Carlsen wins one of the black pawns. Maybe this was prematurely pushed here, but it doesn't. This looks like a frozen structure. What can black do here? He doesn't want to give up his bishop. That'll be even clearer for white. So interesting game. Comments or questions on YouTube? Carlsen's doing very well in this tournament. He beat Back Row as well in the Pearl Springs. Thanks very much.